And that's why I call her AR-15.
Christmas, I give you the very next day, you boom, boom, boom.
New tonight, Press Secretary Sarah Sanders refusing to answer what's a very simple question. How many African Americans work in the White House?
Gender.
Are there in this
Look, I'm not going to go through and do a count the same way I'm not going to do a sit down and count on the staffers that are in your news organizations.
13% of the country is African American.
And we would love to diversify our staff and continue to do so. We do think it's important. We're going to continue to work to make that happen.
Out front now, Angela Rye, former executive director of the Congressional Black Caucus, and Gina Loudon, a member of President Trump's 2020 Re-Election Advisory Council. Gina, let me start with you. You know, in the context we're talking about here, all this discussion about Omarosa and whether there's an N-word tape and Kellyanne Conway not being able to say the last name of the one African-American she could label who worked with her in the White House, it would seem a simple question. How many black staffers work in the White House? She couldn't even give a rough number. Does that disappoint you?
You know, what disappoints me is the division and the fact that we're having to count people based on their skin color. I don't like that. And I think that, you know, you look back at our history and we have a pretty amazing history of overcoming slavery, of expanding civil rights, of women's rights. And a lot of those things happened under American presidents who didn't have any minorities at all on their White Houses. Thank God we do. I looked over the list of the people that I know there, and about 1/3 of them are a minority or a woman. Those are great strides. Could they be better? Absolutely. And I know, I talked to some of my friends in the White House tonight, and they said, yes, they would love more diversity in the White House. The problem is when you have someone come out and defend the president or even say they want to sit down and have a conversation with him, for example, Kanye West, they're completely annihilated in the press. And so there is a trepidation there. So I think if we could focus on the fact that we would like to build on that and work on it together, I know that the administration is open to that.
So your number is roughly 1/3, and that counts women too. So you're saying 2/3 of them are white men, and then 1/3 are diverse in some way, but you're counting women in there?
Well,
I just want to make sure I understand.
You know, Aaron, if you look, for example, at the comms department, as far as my count, and again, I did this cursory before the show here, but Hogan Gidley is the only white guy I can even find in the comms department. So I think it depends department to department. It's going to vary. But I think the bottom line is the policy that comes out of this White House: 700,000 new jobs, record unemployment for all minorities and women. I mean, you know the list, and it's a good list. And there's more coming out. There's new on the Dodd-Frank the repeal. There's great news coming out about small business leaders, who many of them are minorities. So there's a lot of good news, Aaron.
Angela?
I think I got stuck at Gina saying that American presidents have done a great deal for people of color, like ending slavery. Like, I think I'm stuck in 1865 right now. Like, I can't believe that's the justification.
Well, that was a Republican president.
You know what, sis? And that's great. But you just really missed the mark. For you to have to say, right, that we don't necessarily need diversity in this White House.
That's not what I said.
But let me just tell you what I heard, because I don't think you hardly understand.
No, because I don't want you to twist my words,
what you're
Angela.
not going to keep doing is talking over me, because my Black life matters and so does my voice. So what you're going to do right now is listen to what I'm saying to you. What you said was deeply offensive. And what I'm telling you is, you can't say, at least you shouldn't feel comfortable saying it in 2018, that, you know, this White House not having diversity can be akin to presidents who didn't have any black people on their staff but for slavery freeing slaves. Like, that's not okay in 2018.
Thank God it happened.
Ma'am, I let you talk through all of that nonsense. I just need you to let me finish my point, and my point is this. You're not going to be able to successfully name one black person who works in the West Wing, because you know what? Omarosa didn't even work in the West Wing. So regardless of your points about slavery, which are nonsense, I hope that you RIP those talking points tonight. They should never be resurrected. I'm telling you that it's a problem in this White House with the staff, and the reason why is because it's slim pickings. You know why? Because nobody wants to go work for a racist. There's not a single senior black person in the White House, and don't you dare say to me, Ben Carson, because he doesn't work there, and how dare his gifted hands, who's a brain surgeon, and who has never done anything on a construction project, become the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. This whole administration is nonsense, just like your talking points.
Go ahead, Gina.
Yeah, you know, Angela, I understand your feelings on this, but here's my point. I have an adopted minority son, yes I do, who happens to have Down syndrome, and he experiences bigotry every single day in a myriad of ways, not just because of his skin color, but also because of his disability. And I understand that you and I don't agree, but I would not support a president that I believed was going to be a threat to his future. So what I'd like to have is a constructive conversation. And I think, you know, points like yours that are focusing only on the negative and not even acknowledging 700,000 new jobs for black people in this country, record low unemployment and the rest of it, it's tantamount to what Andrew Cuomo said today that upset me too, that America has never been great.
And America
let's focus on what we've done well.
And it's not great because people like you come on and lie for the president of the United States and then bring out your son as an example. Like you ought to be completely ashamed of yourself.
What America is doing well, and how about we look at what we can agree on,
America's doing well, they're getting ready to turn the House and the Senate over to somebody who can
rather than to call each other names and cut each other down and be divisive. I don't think this is, I think America's tired of the division, Angela.
Starts at the top, Gina. Guess what? As soon as your president stops calling people names, maybe he'll set a better example for everyone else.
All right. We'll leave it there. Thank you both very much.
Christmas, I give you scrap up.